There's a Pulitzer Prize-winning novel from 1937 that, after more than 80 years, remains a timeless classic, Gone with the Wind *, penned by American author Margaret Mitchell. It took the author 10 years to complete this story, set against the backdrop of the American Civil War. It chronicles the life of the beautiful Scarlett O'Hara. From age 16 to 28, a woman like a resilient plum blossom blooming defiantly amidst a snowstorm, learning lessons about love through 3 marriages and countless ups and downs amidst the chaos of war. Reading Gone with the Wind is like stepping into a pristine forest. The deeper you venture, the more you appreciate its beauty. Each time you read this book, you're bound to feel something different, as it not only offers insights into love but also inspires profound reflections on human nature and life itself. It helps you mature, ultimately prompting you to answer the questions: how should one truly live? How does one choose love? And if you let yourself be swept away by the wind, where will you truly land? Humans are peculiar. The more elusive something is, the more intensely we crave it. The beautiful, graceful, wealthy Scarlett had countless suitors, but her heart belonged to only one man, Ashley Wilkes. He was her childhood sweetheart, growing up with her, perfect, handsome, talented, and calm. For 2 years, Ashley visited the O'Hara plantation almost every week, dancing and spending time with her. He never explicitly confessed his love, yet his gentle, attentive demeanor made Scarlett believe he loved her and would propose. Then, one day, like a bolt from the blue, she was shattered to hear that Ashley was engaged to her cousin, Melanie Hamilton. So, at their engagement party, Scarlett, dressed exquisitely, approached Ashley to declare her feelings, hoping he would elope with her. But Ashley firmly refused. Disappointed, ashamed, and enraged, she couldn't accept not marrying Ashley and being mocked by other ladies. In a fit of anger, she accepted the proposal of Melanie's brother, Charles Hamilton. This rushed marriage wasn't to escape the pain of unrequited love, but to become family with Ashley. She wanted him to regret his decision. Soon after, war broke out. Her husband, married for only 2 months, had to enlist but tragically fell ill and died on the march, leaving her a widow. Scarlett then sought an opportunity to move in with her cousin, Melanie, with the sole purpose of being closer to Ashley. Even through her second and third marriages to other men, her heart remained solely fixed on Ashley. Perhaps some might think Scarlett's love for Ashley was truly intense, loyal, and ready to fight for love at any moment. To dare to love and hate, a role model for many girls to bravely fight for love. Yet, sadly, Scarlett never truly loved Ashley from the start, and it wasn't real love at all. For Scarlett, a proud, passionate girl who had never tasted defeat, even if Ashley became another's husband, even if she herself was married to another, even if he went to the ends of the earth, she remained convinced that Ashley was the man she loved most in her life. But this pursuit wasn't genuine. It was actually her obsessive fixation on what she couldn't have. For humans are strange creatures. What we can't possess stirs us more deeply, and what we can't achieve makes us yearn more fiercely. Just as people say, old flames are hard to forget, or love is most beautiful when left unfinished. But is that truly the case, or are we merely falling into a psychological trap? There's a psychological phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect. Psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik conducted an experiment where a group of people were given 20 tasks. The first 10 tasks had no interruptions or distractions, so they were completed quickly. However, during the next 10 tasks, the participants' progress was intentionally interrupted, preventing them from finishing within the allotted time. After the experiment, Zeigarnik questioned the participants about their recall and discovered they remembered the unfinished tasks more vividly than the 10 completed ones. This psychological effect demonstrates that people tend to forget completed tasks easily, but deeply remember those left half-finished or unaccomplished. This holds true in relationships. What we cannot have appears more beautiful. The more elusive someone's reciprocation, the more obsessed we become. The more we care, the more we fear losing it. Furthermore, humans can easily lose themselves, becoming lost and deeply conflicted. The more we lack, the more we yearn, but once acquired, we often fail to appreciate it. In Eileen Chang's novel *Red Rose, White Rose *, there's a poignant passage. Marry a red rose, and over time the red turns into a mosquito bite on the white wall. The white, however, remains the bright moonlight by your bed. Marry a white rose, and the white eventually becomes a grain of rice stuck to your red dress. The red, then, is a mole on your heart. Once you possess the red rose, you crave the white. Once you attain the white, your mind drifts to the red. It's like the pair of turquoise earrings Scarlett begged her father for that year. The moment they were in her hands, they officially lost their initial charm. Scarlett, like so many of us, struggled to distinguish true desire. Do we genuinely enjoy eating ice cream, or do we simply relish the feeling of wanting it? The anticipation before having the ice cream is often the most exhilarating, but once it's eaten, we might immediately feel weary of it. Or when we pour all our energy into winning the highest award in a competition, only to suddenly feel in boundless emptiness once it's achieved. To overcome this feeling, we then chase other goals. Humans are constantly cycling through a craving for what they don't possess, believing it to be the most beautiful because it's absent, their hearts urged onward by unfulfilled desires. But that is not a genuine motivation for living and loving. Don't let this illusion deceive you. Sometimes, letting go isn't about letting go of a person, but of the stubborn, obsessive fantasy within our hearts. After everything, Scarlett finally awakened to her feelings for Ashley. She famously said, "He never really existed, except in my own imagination." In psychology, there's another phenomenon called the halo effect, which describes how people often highly rate others based on a single trait or quality, deceiving themselves and blinding themselves to other aspects of the person. But this is merely a limited perspective born from an incomplete understanding of that individual. If you've never had the chance to form a long-term bond, how can you truly understand each other? If you've never faced hardships alongside someone, you can't experience the conflicts and irritations they might bring. If you love someone without a complete view and understanding of them, that feeling is merely a one-sided, illusory romance you've constructed yourself. It will be like flowers on the water's surface, or the moon in a mirror, a powerful motivation to grasp something, which is love. But no, you don't love that person. You only love the person you've created in your imagination. More accurately, it serves only to satisfy and fill your own empty ego. So, from Scarlett and Ashley's love story, what do you see? You need to recognize the fundamental human tendency to chase what we don't yet possess, and that path often leads to being engulfed in illusions, leading to suffering and sorrow. Therefore, before deciding to dedicate your life to someone, we must truly understand them, accept both their good and bad sides, and with utter sincerity, you will find the beginning of true love. Never use marriage as a tool. When war and chaos erupted, to save her plantation and her family, Scarlett used her beauty to find every possible way to marry again, this time to a wealthy man named Frank Kennedy. But Frank was her younger sister Sulan's fiancé. Scarlett knew her sister well. After marrying Frank, Sulan would certainly not use her money to help the family. There was only one way to get the money: to coax Frank by telling him Sulan had feelings for someone else and was about to marry him. 2 weeks later, Scarlett married Frank exactly as she wished. But after living together, Scarlett wanted to work hard to earn money, while Frank only hoped she would be a good wife and raise children. That would be enough. Scarlett was always independent, but Frank tried every means to control her actions. Their lives were riddled with conflict. For Scarlett, this seemingly unbreakable marriage was filled only with endless arguments and profound loneliness. There was absolutely no love. A marriage chosen as a compromise for material gain will inevitably be full of dissatisfactions, ultimately trapping one in a cage of their own making, spending a lifetime in regret. If you use marriage as a tool, you will ultimately become a tool of marriage. Later, Frank joined the revolutionary resistance and was shot dead. Scarlett once again became a widow. Love is neither a game nor a business. Weighing pros and cons is a meaningless erosion of true affection. Shakespeare once said, "If love is mixed with calculations, it is not true love." True love is undoubtedly giving sincerity for sincerity, not caring who initiates, only hoping not to miss each other. Never be immersed in one-sided reception. After 2 remarriages, Scarlett had transformed from a pampered girl into a husband-killer widow in the eyes of others. Amidst societal turmoil, Scarlett had to endure poverty, war, and the pain of her parents' deaths. From a wealthy, delicate lady who never had to lift a finger, she became an independent businesswoman. Subsequently, her entire homeland and even Ashley's family depended on her for survival. Throughout this journey of loss and gain, there was always one person waiting, giving her courage: Rhett Butler. He had risked his life to steal a horse for Scarlett amidst the smoke of war and escorted her back to Tara. He had witnessed her 2 previous failed marriages and, without her realizing it, became her 3rd husband, her knight, protecting her. Rhett spent a fortune to win Scarlett's affection, taking her on a honeymoon, brushing her hair, comforting her like a child, buying land, and building extravagant houses to her taste. Rhett loved Scarlett deeply, showing boundless patience and spoiling her endlessly. He wanted Scarlett to be happy, happier than any other woman. Yet, Scarlett's heart remained fixated on Ashley. She even foolishly believed that even if she couldn't be with Ashley, she could remain physically faithful to him. So after Scarlett gave birth to their daughter, she insisted on sleeping in a separate room. The cherished one is always fearless. The spoiled one is always free from worry. Merely enjoying affection from others is a kind of illusory happiness, fragile and easily broken. Because when one is engrossed in such an illusion, one can brazenly demand, confidently cause trouble without reason, casually squander the other's affection, and thoughtlessly wound another's sincerity, taking it all for granted. Yet in this world, no one will always stand still and wait for you. In an intimate relationship, if you only ever receive, you will only bruise the other with hurt, and you might even lose yourself, thus failing to recognize the other's true feelings. Ultimately, it will be difficult to find true happiness. Any affection not built on mutual giving and receiving, even if it were eternal love, would eventually run dry. Finally, in disappointment and weariness, Rhett chose to leave. It was only then that Scarlett realized she and Rhett were truly meant for each other. They understood each other better than anyone, and only Rhett loved her entirely, both her good and bad sides. Rhett was the one who gave her strength. But by the time she realized this, it was already too late. Never limit yourself. You are second to none. If you read Gone with the Wind for the first time, you might find your perceptions challenged by Scarlett's rebellious spirit. This is because, from a young age, our education steers us towards becoming individuals who adhere to societal moral norms, valuing altruism, dedication, and caring for others. Consequently, you might be shocked by a cold, greedy, selfish Scarlett who spared nothing to achieve her desires, marrying her first husband for revenge, her second for material gain, and her third for comfort and pleasure. All 3 marriages lacked her sincerity and were thus doomed to fail. Yet, why has Scarlett inspired millions across all ages, and why has the character's fictional personality influenced the feminist movement in real life for so many generations? Because she is profoundly real, and her reality created a controversial image. She was once an aristocratic young lady with a wonderful life, but in a flash, the guns of war roared, her mother died, her father went mad, and everything around her turned to desolation. In despair, she had no choice but to shoulder the burden of her entire family. She learned to personally build and manage the plantation, learned to do business, and instantly transformed from a slender young girl into a capable, strong woman, managing everything in the family. In that process, she fully understood the hardships of life. To protect herself and her family, she could use a gun to drive away invaders. To feed herself and everyone, she could use marriage as a bargaining chip. People saw her as selfish, greedy, arrogant, and cold, but it was precisely that selfish personality that forged an independent, self-reliant individual who dared to think, dared to act, and dared to be disliked in her work and life. Scarlett lived in an era where men were superior to women, and most women only knew how to be housewives. Because of this, many women initially believed they were inferior to men and quickly abandoned their dreams. But Scarlett was different. She never thought herself inferior to them. Therefore, she never set limits for herself, never confined herself to the perceptions of outsiders, and ultimately, she succeeded on her own. Women face many prejudices in life. Some believe women are inherently inferior to men and that no amount of effort can change anything, but believe that this is merely oppression stemming from cultural bias. In reality, whether woman or man, everyone is equal. Only when women refuse to limit themselves can they make their lives vibrant. Don't let anyone's prejudiced gaze hold you back. Use their words as motivation and move forward. Only this way can you live without regret. Never give up easily. Tomorrow will still be a new day. It is precisely Scarlett's simultaneously selfish, independent, and resilient character that is truly worth our contemplation. Humans are deeply contradictory beings. No one is entirely excellent, and no one is an utter failure. In life's journey, we are imperfect and have many flaws in our personalities. Often, we get lost and suffer, but as long as we maintain a spirit focused on a positive tomorrow, we can learn, improve, and grow from our experiences. The novel's title was inspired by a poem by an English poet. I have forgotten much, Tara. Let it go with the wind. Roses fall, thorny roses, fly away. Remember not the lost, pale white petals. Things that drift away with the wind belong to the past. Those pale white petals could be our own flaws. Let them mature and be swept away. Just like Scarlett's final words, with an open ending, when Rhett left her in despair, she said, "Tomorrow is another day." With this statement, the spirited Scarlett would perhaps awaken and once again fight for love, but this time with sincerity, for she has matured with the wind. She has weathered the storms and upheavals, but even if she chooses not to take another step, it doesn't matter. What's important is that, compared to the immature, selfish, hurt, and disheartened girl at the beginning of the story, Scarlett has truly changed enough to control her own destiny. With determination in hand, love in our hearts, and light in our eyes, we need not fear any future storms. Every step you take in life is not in vain. Each carries its own meaning. A truly wise person transforms every experience into lessons that help us move forward, making every encounter the best possible arrangement in your life. A person with correct understanding and extraordinary determination will be able to let themselves fly with the wind. But ultimately, where will they fly? To a place free from past burdens, with no worries about the future, but rather living well in the present. And no matter what, tomorrow is a new day. The character of Scarlett has given courage to those who have failed and serves as a mirror for the successful to observe and reflect upon. Her broken love story tells us that the more elusive something is, the more we pursue it, but upon achieving it, we realize we didn't truly want it. If we don't cherish what we already have, we will surely pay the price in regret. To live without regret, please cast aside your selfish ego, exchange sincerity for sincerity to overcome difficulties, and learn the independent, resilient spirit that forever shines with fierce vitality, just like Scarlett in Gone with the Wind *, resilient and sincere.